KOGO News Time, 7:12.
Thank you for being a friend.
Yeah, think of it as Golden Girls 2019. More retirees are choosing to live with roommates.
Joining us on the KOGO News Live line is healthy living specialist Judy Gaman. Good to have you back, Judy.
Oh, always a pleasure to be on with you. I enjoy this show so much.
Oh, thank you very much. We enjoy having you. So, with this is a very interesting topic. Why is, this a beneficial living arrangement for people who might be getting up there in age?
Well, there's several reasons, and a lot of it's actually backed by research, believe it or not. We do know that there's been lots of studies about socialization, and when you're in these social settings that you live longer, you have less heart disease. One study actually out of BYU found there's a direct link between social interaction and survival rates, like 50%. I mean, we're talking some big numbers. And there's also this thing called social capital, and everybody kind of has this. Now, the social capital is basically what's the value of your friendships. These are trusted, real friends, people you can rely on, somebody, I call them the 3 a.m. friends, somebody you can call at 3 a.m., and they'll be there for you. The more people you have in that category, or the stronger those relationships are, the longer you're going to live. And so there's a direct correlation. And we've gotten into, as you all know, that we think friends are when you click a button on your computer, and that's not really what friendship's about.
It's interesting because younger people generally try really hard not to live with roommates. So does something change in us as we get older that makes roommates more tolerable, I guess?
I think so. We become a lot more wiser, and we realize that everybody has faults. We have faults ourselves. And we sometimes associate age with, you're stuck in your ways. But we also need to associate age with the reality that there is a bit of a fear factor there. How much longer am I going to be around? Am I going to die alone? If I was to fall, is somebody going to know? Or am I going to basically sit there for 3 days? There's a lot to consider here, and it's a trade-off. When you move in with somebody, not only do you have to deal with all their quirks, sometimes you got to deal with their stuff. So doing a little bit of homework before you jump off and decide who your roommates are going to be is really important.
And you mentioned maybe one or two there. What are some of the downsides of living with a roommate later in life?
Well, there's a couple things, especially if you have a lot of family that's used to visiting. That could be a little awkward. It may be that you need to ask, like, hey, are you okay if my grandkids come over? Or what's the arrangement if we have a family dinner? Or kind of lay the groundwork. Some of these people decide, hey, you live in this half of the house, I'll live in the other. But others say, look, if we're going to do this, let's just do it like we both live here, and it's okay if we sit down at the table together and have a meal, which is really the ideal situation. Really living there and just living in separate sides of the house is no different than moving into an apartment complex and not talking to your neighbors.
All right. So ultimately, being close to other people when you're older, I know that those friendships are beneficial if you can work it out. What are some of the advantages of maybe moving in with a really good friend and not just a roommate or somebody that you don't know?
Well, there's several advantages. One is you actually can help your own brain. You really have more interaction, so your memory is going to improve, your cognition is going to improve. There's some research out there that shows if you're in a social situation where you're having, laughter together and conversation and doing things together, you have a 70% slower rate of cognitive decline. We're all worried about losing our memory or losing our mind, but if we can keep up with somebody else and really have those interactions and do things together, the chances that you're going to lose your memory or lose it quickly, it's just less. And really that's what it is. Nobody gets out of this alive, right? So we all need to stick together so that the years that we are left here on the earth are filled with happiness, and they're filled with interaction, and we're doing things. We're not just sitting idle. Idle is just the step before death.
Oh, interesting. Healthy living specialist Judy Gaman, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Judy.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right. Thanks.